See, it for us it is a labor of love. So we don't particularly care as much. Sometimes it does. Sometimes suddenly it does like when I say really good, what I mean is ki 5,000 plus listeners of a podcast, audio based thing, is good enough. Like it will keep you like in the top 1% even in India. So sometimes it's like that, but usually it's slightly less than that. So, but see, we don't as such, उतना वो नहीं है कितने लोग सुन रहे कितने लोग नहीं सुन रहे. जितने लोग सुनते हैं उन लोग बहुत दिल से सुनते इतने दिल से सुनते हैं कि they will send you time stamps कि कब क्या बोला, and they will tell you how that what you said made them think XYZ, जबकि when you said it you didn't even think इतना कुछ हो जाएगा.
That's a good sign. And
I think more than the podcast, what I realize is कि जो हमारा Discord server है छोटा सा ही है, उसमें 300 लोग हैं, जिसमें से I think 40 शायद थोड़े ज़्यादा एक्टिव हैं. But they are, मतलब I think they almost consider each other family kind of, because पहले ये once every 2 weeks से start हुआ था, अभी twice every week टाइप का हो गया है. Randomly उसमें voice chat start हो जाती है, and like there's उसमें मतलब और भी voice chat में थोड़े और 10-12 लोग एक्टिव होते हैं, but they are like sharing serious personal stuff as well. It's like a therapy session.
Is the school WhatsApp group you wish you had?
Yes. For all of that. Yes, for all. Yeah, exactly. Because nobody is happy with their school groups.
मैंने चैट पे एक ट्विटर ट्वीट डाला है, प्लीज वो ट्वीट देखो.
I shudder to open it, but okay.
Just check.
Maharshi Maitri match tournament organized by Sanskrit Bachao Manch. Sanskrit Bachao Manch एक क्रिकेट क्यों खेल रहा है तो ये नहीं पता मुझे. In Bhopal. Bhopal has entered the chat. The players can be seen in
Oh my God.
और एंड में क्या होगा तो उनको फल क्या मिल रहा है उसका? सबको अयोध्या ले जाया जा रहा
है. संस्कृत बच रही है.
संस्कृत क्रिकेट खेलने से कैसे बचेगी संस्कृत?
धोती पहनने से भी नहीं बचेगी वैसे तो. But
are they wearing dhoti over a trouser in some cases?
Yeah.
कुछ लोग भूल गए होंगे घर से पहन के लाना, तो उनको वहां पे दिया तो उन्होंने पैंट के ऊपर बांध लिया.
यार सी ये इससे क्या प्रूव हो रहा है? यही कि
I mean, I know,
हाँ वो तो हो ही रहा है. Like, मतलब उनके मन में क्या प्रूव हो रहा है, मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ.
Long years ago, we made a trip with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge.
8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से
चीफ मिनिस्टर के लिए मेरा एक ही संदेश है कि वो राज धर्म का पालन करें.
हार्डवेयर वालों की सोच क्या होती है, हार्ड वर्क वालों की सोच क्या होती है.
अरे ये ना पंजाब की खुशबू.
Do you guys usually have like a theme or points that you discuss, or it's always freewheeling in the podcast?
हम लोग सोचते हैं theme, but it usually ends up being freewheeling because something or the other, like there is so much happening, right? It's so difficult to limit the conversation.
Actually
वो हो जाता है problem of plenty.
हाँ, अब प्रॉब्लम ये हमने ये ट्राई किया है, बट देन वो फिर एक तो फिर वो बीच में ना काटना पड़ता है कि अरे अब इस टॉपिक पे जाना है, अब इस टॉपिक पे जाना है. वो सेगवे हमेशा उतना सीमलेस
इसीलिए मेरा सोच ये रहता है, जैसे which I kind of thought कि अपन like we'll talk about democracy and uncle today, and that happens all the time. You go into different directions. For example, अभी मेघनाथ के साथ में हम लोग ने एक एपिसोड किया जहाँ पे हम लोग टेलीकॉम बिल से शुरू किए, and we ended up talking about how right-wing influencers become right-wing influencers on social media. We were talking about this, that people are essentially lonely. From the person, like from people who are in professional, in their 20s and 30s, to people, वो जो अंकल लोग हैं जो जहाँ वहाँ क्लब्स में जाते हैं, इंडिया हैबिटेट सेंटर है, जो भी उस जगह जाते हैं वहाँ पे ऐसा बिहेव करते हैं as if they own the place and they are entitled to, everyone does that because they're somewhere severely lonely. And on top of it, I feel that especially in the case of India, especially in the case of the groups that we call upward mobile or trying to be upward mobile, यहाँ पे ऐसा बहुत सारा look beyond Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, all these places, and think about how many Indores and Raipurs and Gwaliors and small towns are there where the only aspiration that a kid can do is कि 12th पास करके 4 साल का कॉलेज कोई 4 साल का कॉलेज कहीं बेटर जगह से या whatever, and then eventually I'll end up in a Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. But through this process they are leaving everything and then moving to a place where they have to establish a whole new circle by themselves. तो इज इट सरप्राइजिंग कि फिर ये लड़का जाके सबसे पहले वो बियर बाइसेप्स के वीडियोस देखता है जो बियर बाइसेप्स करता था कि 12 स्टेप में लड़की कैसे पटाने का है, और एंड देन फ्रॉम देयर they get into that whole
is also general alienation which is there throughout society, be it small or the big towns, because you are being pushed further and further away from your natural self, and that regardless of how much upwardly mobile you are, you're not really happy. You don't know what happiness is, and then whatever random people target you, then you target other people in lieu of that, and it's just it's so unconscious. I feel very very unconscious, and you don't even know that you're lonely.
That's big.
You don't even know there is loneliness that's eating you up.
I've
My
seen
school
people.
WhatsApp group.
Go on.
I kept at it for some time because I thought this is like my net practice to engage society at large, like despite my beliefs or my education. And it gets tedious, but I was like, if these people I can't even talk to, forget convince. They are people I grew up with. They are the same person as me essentially, and the same neighborhood, same everything. And if I can't even communicate with them, then there's no hope left. So I kept at it. But more recently, what happened is, unprovoked, on one of the new videos, I stopped sharing the videos there because they get triggered. But this time they shared it, and they're pointing out lines. इसमें तो ऐसा क्यों बोला? ये Hindu, ये Muslim, and the language was so exactly what you see in the comments, like verbatim. Like even the grammar mistakes are the same. So, and it's just so disappointing because these are your school buddies. They are post-graduates. They're doing well in life. They have a family. And if you see the exact same language, then I felt that why am I giving them time of day? यही देखना है तो वो मुझे already net पे आ रहा है. No, so why am I giving them space in my personal life? And the thought that came to my mind, which has been on my mind actually for a while, after this it just really concretized the fact that now the only difference left between the gundas and the trolls online and your school friends is that your school friends know where you live.
Which is,
and
is it not scary?
Scary. This is how it ends. So it ends with your own friends and people you are on good terms with at one point sending the mob to your door. Because what is the logical end of what is happening right now? You give this 2 more years, 4 more years, 6 more years. Where is it going to go? It's going to go to mayhem. And the country at large will go on. Like it's the bulldozer of capitalism. It will keep rolling. But you will have like random targets who are squished in the middle as content for the bigger news machinery. So it's quite scary. Then at that point I give up. I'm like, this is not helping at all. And why do I increase the stress in my pocket? Fuck these guys.
So this is something जो मैंने पहले सोचा था कि शुरू करूंगा मैं, जहाँ से ऐसा फनी सोचा था मैंने कि मैं तुम लोग को बोलूंगा कि मेरे पास एक ऐसा साइंटिफिक फैक्ट है कि अभी ऐसा पता चला है कि जिस दिन 145 member of parliament suspend किए गए थे इंडियन पार्लियामेंट से, that was the day where the most number of uncles had erection across the country. Like it's ऐसा सोचा था, ऐसा कुछ बोलूंगा बट अब क्या बोलूं मैं उस पे. But the point is, so what you
Guinness Book of World Record भी आ जाता है ना, अपन वैसे भी इंडिया स्पेशल
सब कुछ है ना, हमको वो ऑब्सेशन है ना. Guinness Book of World Record का भी एक ऑब्सेशन है.
Whole stadium of uncles have most number of.
अभी रिसेंटली देखा तो ना हरियाणा में योगा का किया चीफ मिनिस्टर एंड ऑल की गिनीज बुक ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड में कि मोस्ट नंबर ऑफ पीपल डूइंग योगा इन वन
और सेम टाइम.
इतने साल हो गए हैं बट पीपल डोंट इवन नो येट. मतलब एंड आई एम नॉट इवन टॉकिंग अबाउट कि जिनको नहीं आइडिया रहता है, even people who are otherwise active online and have some information, they also don't know that you basically buy like it's a Guinness marketing tool, right? That record.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can buy that, you can do anything.
We are obsessed with these. यार अगर ये obsession मतलब इतना ज़्यादा है कि I have met people in their 40s in the IITs who still talk about their JEE rank.
और एक लिम्का बुक ऑफ रिकॉर्ड्स भी होता था, right?
हाँ लिम्का भी। तो ये अलग ही एक obsession है, and I think
there's also a dichotomy, like odd days में you jerk off on the Guinness Book of Records, and
Yes.
even days you say कि Western media is against India, it is conspiracy, it is George Soros. So, but then again
वो जब जो फेक न्यूज, जो फेक वाला वो इमेज आया था जिसमें न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स का वो 17 सितंबर लिखा हुआ था, जिसमें कुछ वो our leader declared the best kind of, so it still had to be न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स, बट जब गाली देनी है तो भी न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स एंड वैलिडेशन भी न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स।
hard to fathom. It's
नहीं तो उसमें वो एक और चीज है ना कि quantifiable चीजों को, like if the thing is like clear cut in numbers ना, we love it. कितने परसेंटेज आए तेरे को, या तेरा रैंक क्या था, या गिनीज बुक ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड में इतने इंच नाखून है मेरा, you know, whatever. So those kind of things we are there is some sort of obsession.
Wasn't there a video, most number, so people gathered in a stadium and it was like I think Amul basically paid for it, I guess, because it was most number of Amul milk bottles opened in, like that's a record. But like, my if number is a record, then India is a record, right? मतलब इतनी population तुम कुछ भी बता लो।
But they missed the obvious one. The most number of people gathered in a stadium, but still failed to cheer their home team. It was
yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't watch cricket. Do you guys follow?
we that's a whole we follow, but we find ourselves in a very difficult situation now.
Yeah,
as far as that. So we also had a cricket podcast, by the way, but we kind of have stopped it almost. क्या बोलूं, मतलब like अब 2-3 महीने में कभी एक आध बार कुछ करना, because there's no fun left in it anymore. Like whatever fun there was now.
I started watching I started watching a decade ago cricket. But tell me, as a lover of just the game, like forget India or whatever team you support, is it still fun given that it's just this flat pitch bullies ruling the roost, and then the amount of politics that and the money that decides everything? Is there actual? I'm sure there are great players who are coming out still, but is it fun anymore? Like you said, it's not fun.
So that's the thing.
I would let Nishant
what you are saying is true about India, but that's the thing, and because majority of the viewers are from India. बहुत सारी क्रिकेट वॉचिंग जनता को अब बाकी बाहर का कुछ आइडिया भी नहीं रहता है, एंड दैट इज व्हाई एटलीस्ट मी आई फॉलो, अब ऑब्वियसली बाय डिफॉल्ट वो यू कैन नॉट एस्केप इंडिया व्हेन दे आर प्लेइंग क्रिकेट बिकॉज़ पूरा सोशल मीडिया पे सब कुछ लाइक वो आ ही जाता है, बट आई एक्टिवली ट्राई टू फॉलो अदर टीम्स बिकॉज़ जहां पे थोड़ा देखने में ऐसा कुछ फ्रेश लगता है, मे बी इवन एन एसोसिएट टीम लाइक अफगानिस्तान अगर कहीं खेल रही है या कुछ, एटलीस्ट यू नो देयर इज अ स्टोरी बिहाइंड इट कि दे आर कमिंग फ्रॉम सर्टेन बैकग्राउंड और फिर वो कुछ कर रहे हैं। बट अभी इंडिया के साथ तो मेरा ऐसा हो गया है कि if this was
सोच के बोलना निशांत, बहुत सोचिए भाजा पॉड है, बहुत सोच के बोलना जो बोल रहा है।
If this was the country, if this was not the current state of the country, I would have been so glad and I would have like supported the hell out of this team because it is मतलब argument ही नहीं है उसमें। There are certain nuances कि वो ट्रॉफी नहीं जीत रहे, वो सब वो ठीक है, but it is probably one of the best teams ever assembled.
Is the best Indian team ever? Is that what you're saying? The best.
वो थोड़ा सा controversial हो जाता है. I don't know because इतने resources के साथ भी अगर आप best नहीं होगे तो फिर क्या ही होगा?
So मेरा point ये है कि मैं यही कहने यहाँ से शुरू करने वाला था कि
so I truly cannot support them because of all the non-cricketing reasons.
So geopolitics को अगर अपन देखें ना तो ऐसा सोचो कि साला यूएस है with its resources and its dollar and its money, वो सब होने के बाद भी somehow अगर यूएस हमेशा यूके और जर्मनी का खुद की तरफ देखे कि क्या करने का है नेक्स्ट, क्या डायरेक्शन लेने का है, that's like cricket where India
the only thing India does in cricket is कि बड़ा स्टेडियम बना दिया, LED लाइट लगा दी, no other like innovation in terms of the
Innovation.
sport
Yeah.
or in terms of the technology that is being used. हमेशा you are the last to incorporate. जैसे धोनी के टाइम पे he said DRS नहीं लेंगे, हम नहीं यूज करेंगे.
अब मेरे को दूसरा आर्गुमेंट स्पोर्ट्स को लेके, जैसे व्हेन वी से बेस्ट एवर, ग्रेटेस्ट एवर, उसमें एक और चीज है जो मुझे ऐसा लगता है, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल think of a non-cricketing example, Usain Bolt, right? So Usain Bolt broke the record of 10 second, that 10-second barrier, right? Now, if you go back like to the 1950s and 60s and see who was the fastest sprinter, their sprint time was 10 second plus kuch bhi jo bhi, right? Now, the thing is ki, this is my basic expectation ki as time advances, our sporting things we have and the mechanics and the biomechanics and everything, our science advances and
shoes का science सब कुछ.
मतलब a lot of it is कि Usain Bolt आज के time पे है, and that he's great, obviously no one can deny it, but he's doing it as kind of with this time. Now if we transport Usain Bolt to that time, or get someone from that time to this time and give them all the things and train them like however people are being trained
you
now,
can't truly compare
can't truly compare across eras, right? So that's one thing. So the only thing that you can compare is कि Usain Bolt अपने peers के comparison में क्या कर रहा है, and that is where this is a very interesting question that you've asked without kind of, because it's not a cricketing question anymore. You know what I feel? So what Nishant said is very true. They are perhaps the best 11 people that India has had to play cricket
at the same time.
Every time they go out to play, the fear of a loss is so much heavier on them that they inevitably end up being in situations where, let's say ki, like your bat swing had to be like, had X power, and that little bit of nervousness or like hesitancy reduces that by X minus 2, and that's where the game is. That's where everything is.
That's why they do very well. Yeah, exactly. That is where they do very well when nothing is on the line. They are unbeatable. And the moment that thing comes, ki agar ye haare to khatam, then.
And the reason a team like Australia always does really well across sports actually is because they don't associate sports with their national pride.
Yeah. In fact, cricket तो उनका कुछ है ही नहीं ना, मतलब cricket is like the
है ही नहीं, वो तो खैर बात ही नहीं है, but
they're not even the top athletes of their country, those cricketers.
Yeah.
But in most cases, I think maybe Brazilian's football team is an exception, but outside of it, the best type of teams do not associate their victories and losses directly with their national pride. Usually they are like multi-sports countries and all of that. अब हो ये रहा है ना कि जब इतना ज़्यादा
मैं ये बोल रहा था तो पुनीत, because you don't follow cricket, so you probably don't know that. So the मतलब हालत ये है अभी इंडियन क्रिकेट कवरेज ब्रॉडकास्ट की कि वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल आप हार गए, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली हार गए, और उसके बाद भी, लेकिन उसके बाद जो T20 सीरीज हो रही है ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ, जस्ट लाइक एक 4 दिन बाद वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल किया, हाँ, बट उसका एडवर्टाइजमेंट ऐसा हो रहा है कि बदला लेंगे वर्ल्ड कप.
हाँ, ये तो सालों से आ रहा है ना, बदले वाला एडवर्टाइजमेंट.
या व्हाट द लाइक, तुम वर्ल्ड कप हारे हो, तुम रैंडम किट प्लाई कप के 3 मैच में क्या बदला लोगे यार, मतलब. बट दैट्स व्हाट इट इज परसीव्ड.
This is what they feel the people are, and probably they're right also.
Yeah.
Are there examples of any developing country who are great at a particular sport and it is not associated with the national pride? Like you said, Brazil, similar to what
similar.
Australia
नहीं, Australia developing नहीं है ना.
Developing. Okay, developing. Yeah. Maybe West Indies. I mean, again, they are not. That's not one country. Yeah.
And I cannot think of. But also, yes.
Yeah, Asia में तो नहीं है कोई ऐसी country, because अभी श्रीलंका के साथ they lost one match against India, पूरा board ही resolve कर दिया. I mean, there were other problems, but yeah, that's different.
The interesting thing on that is कि hockey is going under the radar, Indian hockey, and because people are not following hockey as much, actually India is doing rather well in hockey, like compared to how we were like 10-20 years ago. We were like really
I think
like
this all ties into people's self respect. वो है ही नहीं ये देश आपका.
everything.
Your personality is so underdeveloped that you keep attaching it to all these external sources of pride. The nation, your leader, your religion is old, all of that. It is all insecurity, and which is endemic in a country like ours because of so many reasons. And also in a developing country, the corruption will be higher, the outright corruption at least, in a sporting body also. So I think all of these things are so connected that way. What is happening in politics?
And in this India is very special. You know why? Because any other developing country that I can think of has, due to the function of, so for example, let's say Pakistan or Bangladesh. यहाँ पे I know a number of people from Pakistan and Bangladesh, and when you talk to them, you realize that from childhood उनकी लाइफ में इंडियन कल्चर का इतना ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस बॉलीवुड हमेशा रहा है, right? For some times in their life they have either had seen Indian products in their market or used it somehow, but and then there's a shared history which also ties ki, like people like people living in Karachi will talk about how their family is from somewhere in UP, whatever, right? Meanwhile, in India, outside of Bengal and Punjab, which saw partition, so has, and Delhi, which has a number of people who moved from there, we are so like we are very inward looking. At any time we have tried to be a little more broader, like having Pakistani artists come in, that hasn't lasted very long, right? तो हमारा पूरा एक तो शुरू से एक बच्चा पैदा हुआ, started going to school, and the school system through school का prayer, school का pledge, and the stories about कैसे हमने अलेक्जेंडर को रोका, मतलब not like family tales about like every family has a tale that associates it with some Hindu king who kind of did XYZ. So you kind of grow up in an environment where you expect India to be Vishwaguru. Even at your home, your understanding of India, even if you've never, nobody in your family has ever moved out of your city or state or country to दूर गया, your idea of India is very elevated than the actual reality of where India is in the world. And then at some point you either come to realize कि भाई वैसा नहीं है, ये completely deny that reality.
It's very difficult
and you keep
to
living
accept
in your
it actually. मतलब my whole life was a
it's
lie
very
वाली
difficult.
situation आ जाती है.
But we accepted more Pakistani artists than they have of ours, and I'm sure there's a lot of hatred towards India in Bangladesh and in Pakistan also.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like, see, it's not about accept, like you are saying about काम देना, right? कि हमारे movies में. But I'm saying that if you grow up in Pakistan, it's important. You will have watched Chak De and you will have rooted for that Indian team in that movie, for example, or I mean any number of.
But isn't that because they are a smaller country and they don't have stuff of their own?
So that's what I'm saying now. So that's what I'm saying. So India is special in that regard, right? Where we don't have such external influences to even make, like China hai, which could be our India, but we are so different that we barely consume anything outside of Hakkan,
US भी,
right?
I mean,
US है pop culture. US है more recently. US का pop culture, UK का pop culture has been big. Initially, it has been big in our elites. और जो कि पुनीत
no, but वही मैं बोल रहा था, the cultures are so different कि वो effect नहीं हो पाता है जो
हाँ, but there has been some effect.
US का effect तो nobody can escape because it's just that they are so big.
But that is why where India is very interesting. कि US Hollywood basically helped in collapsing almost every other big movie industry except India. Right? So Indians are still largely, most Indians still consume Indian films, right? जैसे एक US के example में लो UK is for all intents and purposes another American state because of the massive influence that US has on UK at this point. तो लेकिन India उस अब मुझे नहीं पता ये ब्राजील अर्जेंटीना के बीच में कैसा है. I don't know, how that is. I don't know how it is in in those Eastern African countries which are very similar to each other. But like I can see India, and I can see that we are in a way insulated from the beginning, and there is very little that happens in terms of like our under like
It's
an
like
average
very
Mhm.
looking and not really open to receiving ideas from outside
We are not
wholeheartedly.
trained to na. Sometimes you don't have like uh, sometimes it happens by osmosis, but that's not happening with us.
Hmm, hmm.
कहाँ से होगा कुछ नहीं, बीच में वो जी मतलब usually these are like
But that feeling of supremacy is always insecurity, which is projected outwards.
हाँ
That's what it
नहीं
is.
नहीं,
Which I mean, I'm sure you guys see it every day being abroad. So,
मैंने तो पूरा एक न्यूज लॉन्ड्री में पूरा ऐसे लिखा था कि हाउ हिंदुत्व इज फ्यूल्ड बाय द मैस्कुलिन एंजाइटी ऑफ इंडियन मैन
I think I
usually
read that. Yeah.
usually but it also is related to that because ultimately एक और narrative जो है I don't know आप कितना like धीरे धीरे बोलते हैं आप जोर से बोलते हैं I don't know, but there is this also narrative that Muslim men are more violent, more lascivious, and like in general overall more aggressive, and
Yeah.
somehow I feel that now these people are trying to compensate for that much more
I
than
have
they did
also
before.
heard this recently that so somebody who lives here they said ki I have a friend who's from Turkey. They're Muslim, but not
Yeah.
from India, basically. And basically, if I can quote that person, जो नॉन इंडियन मुस्लिम रहते हैं वो थोड़े ब्रॉड माइंडेड रहते हैं. मतलब कितने लोगों से मिले हो तुम? 2. और इंडिया में कितने मुस्लिम फ्रेंड हैं? एक भी नहीं. जस्ट टीवी से देख देख के वही पता चल गया है.
Yeah, इंडिया में एक और ये बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट. इंडिया में यू कैन लाइक so I grew up in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh, and I can say that we can, if you are in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh, you can ideally live all of your like childhood to adulthood to like most of your life without ever meeting a Muslim, needing to meet a Muslim.
Exactly.
Outside of
Which
वो
is
एक
so
पावर
sad.
इक्वेशन होता है जब आपको आपका कार या गाड़ी सुधारनी होती
हाँ
है.
वही.
But that is not an equal relationship, right? So
Or
you're
at
not
India
getting
Coffee House on Sundays.
उसमें
There's a
भी
Muslim family sitting on the other table.
yeah,
तो मतलब
in
वो भी
fact,
इंटरेक्शन नहीं होता है ना मतलब.
Interaction नहीं होता.
Yeah.
तो मतलब मैंने तो like my life's first Muslim friend was made in my engineering college, so this is after I turned 18. सोचो मतलब this is
And by that time you heard so many stories and stereotypes. In fact, whatever they say in parliament now, you heard all of it point by point from childhood. Now, when Amit Shah teed off on Kashmir recently, and they made a big halla about it, कि अरे आज तो भाई ने सुना दिया ये वो नेहरू का मिस्टेक हुआ था कश्मीर में दे दिया ये क्या वो क्या, and this is nothing but RSS greatest hits collection from this 80s and the 90s. No? और वही प्ले बुक अभी वो बोल रहा है क्योंकि उसको बड़ा स्टेज मिल गया है.
अभी तो most WhatsApp forwards, right? This is like many of them don't like unless अभी कोई recent event COVID पे कोई WhatsApp forward, that's a different thing. But most of the Hindu WhatsApp forwards are like greatest hits. Like मैंने वो 90s में सब मैं 5 जने में देख चुका हूँ. Like all of that has happened.
Correct.
But
in fact अभी वो ट्रक का स्ट्राइक हुआ ना 2 दिन पहले, तो immediate next day already I'm hearing people in the neighborhood saying कि ये सब कांग्रेस ने किया है. मतलब कैसे? बोलता ट्रक का ट्रांसपोर्ट का पूरा बिजनेस उनका है, मतलब पूरा इंडिया में हर स्टेट हर यूनियन बोलता हाँ पहले से उनका है और अभी वो लोग करवा रहे हैं. And they see how immediate it is. And
you know what,
resolved also because they backed off.
So
but
Punit,
ये pump out कर लिया.
In all of our episode something happens where we end up realizing कि अगर बीजेपी ने हमें अपने पेरोल पे रखा होता तो हम शायद उनको और थोड़ा क्रिएटिव आइडिया दे सकते. जैसे दिस क्यों कर रहे हो? लाइक द इजीएस्ट थिंग इज कि से खालिस्तानी है बिकॉज़ यू कैन लिटरली लाइक मेक अ कनेक्शन विद पंजाबीज एंड ट्रक ड्राइवर्स. बोलो फॉरेन से फंडा लाइक यार सिंपल है यार सीरियसली. जैसे
ये व्हाट्सएप अंकल्स के लिए ना ये राहुल गांधी और कांग्रेस इन जनरल इट्स सच अ मतलब एक वो होता है ना मतलब इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ अ गॉड ऑब्जेक्ट फॉर देम व्हिच इज लाइक कि ये इररिलेवेंट भी हैं जब हमें बोलना है तो ये रिलेवेंट भी हैं और जब ब्लेम करना है तो ये पावरफुल भी हैं. So
Which just shows that there is zero critical thinking, there is zero rationality.
yeah,
So
exactly.
propaganda is being thrown at you, yes, but आपका खुद का कोई डिफेंस सिस्टम ही नहीं है in your mind.
कहाँ से होगा? कहाँ से होगा जब पूरा स्ट्रक्चर ही वैसा है? मैंने बोला ना कि इंडिया अभी ट्विटर पे कंट्रोवर्सी चल रहा है. कंट्रोवर्सी तो नहीं, ट्विटर में रोज कुछ नया ड्रामा होता है, राइट? एक कोई 22 साल की बच्ची है, शी पुट अ पोस्ट आउट कि उसने वो अपने शी मूव्ड आउट ऑफ हर पेरेंट्स होम, शी रेंटेड अ प्लेस. आई डोंट केयर व्हाट हैपेंड, बट यू नो नाउ पीपल आर कोट ट्वीटिंग हर एंड सेइंग कि मैं जब 22 साल का था तो मैं अपने माँ बाप के हेल्थ का केयर करता था. एक तो कौन सा 22 साल का भाई, कौन से माँ बाप है तेरे जो ऐसे, बट एनीवे. And the thing is ki we are so authority compliant from day one of our lives. And this idea that age has to be respected. Elder people have to be respected even if they are like the most chutias that you've ever seen in life.
Yeah.
And so that keeps us that kills curiosity because you can't ask questions. So छोटे से अगर आपको क्वेश्चंस पूछना बंद करा दिया तो फिर इवन व्हेन यू लाइक, यार ये सब छोड़ो, 150 मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट ऑपोजिशन के सस्पेंड कर दिए गए इन द मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी. डू यू हियर अ पीप? लाइक हमारे जो कॉलोनी के अंकल हैं जो इतना लाइक वो करते हैं, राइट, कि हम बड़ा ग्रेटेस्ट बेस्ट डेमोक्रेसी व्हाटएवर, मोदी जी जाके हर जगह मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी बोल कहते हैं. व्हाट
There's just another Limca record for them to just.
मैंने वही बोला कि वो गिनीज में क्यों नहीं डाला कि द मोस्ट नंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्स. It's
which proves that the most basic concept of democracy they don't even understand or appreciate. So they are actually celebrating the opposition being kicked out, which means that if tomorrow it is declared कि election ही नहीं होगा, they will burst firecrackers.
हाँ,
time waste है, it's a waste of money.
resources.
मैंने तो ये थ्योरी ऐसा थॉट एक्सरसाइज ऐसे दिया था कि कल को मोदी जी आते स्पीच दे कि देखो ये एक इलेक्शन कराने में इतना पैसा लग जाता है, तो अभी मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ कि अभी 10 साल बाद अगला इलेक्शन कराते हैं, ठीक है, पब्लिक विल स्टार्ट ऑपेड, पब्लिक छोड़ो ऑपेड लिखे जाने लगेंगे कि व्हाई इट्स अ मास्टर स्ट्रोक, कितना पैसा बचेगा, ये होगा वो होगा. एंड
you think he has a list of ideas which are the wackiest, and he knows he might be able to pull it off, but he's keeping it for a day when he's feeling adventurous, because he can get away with anything at this point.
anything.
Yeah, his appetite must be increasing by the day, कि आज ये बोल देता हूँ 8 बजे जाके. ऐसा होगा ना उसके बाद एक दिन. हाँ, at one point he will just start messing with people कि कल से आप सब लोग को यही हेयर स्टाइल करके आने का है, and लोग कर भी लेंगे.
but this is what happens with like this is my only hope, boss, that every authoritarian leader across the world and across history at some point goes mad.
So just yesterday I think I listened to this on, like, somebody said this on our Discord, that कि उनके स्कूल में, like at the time they were in school, there was this one RSS affiliated teacher, and ABVP affiliated, something like that, and he basically like indirectly used to threaten them कि you donate to ABVP, like otherwise I'll fail you.
Yeah, it sounds so plausible.
So
अभी तो ऐसा है कि एम्स और IIT में उनके अंकल लोग आके गौमूत्र का बात कर रहे हैं, who are not teachers also, and they are forced down the throat of doctors. Imagine what a shame.
But also, like on that note, you will meet doctors who will try to justify it. See, the one thing that, like, you can be highly educated in science in India, but that does not mean that you'll have rationality at all. Like आपके दिमाग में वो दो हिस्से एकदम completely अलग-अलग रखे हुए हैं.
You've been fucked over in childhood only, no?
हाँ, so there is nothing like when. Again, a lot of people will have different kind of opinions, but when your ISRO का rocket launcher और वहाँ पे नटराज का मूर्ति रखा हुआ है, like what? This is where you are, and this is the kind of the place.
That Nataraj Murthy is there as sun reactor also. So if it's for symbolic purposes, great. But they are also superstitious in their personal life.
हाँ, मंदिर गए ना वो, वहाँ कहाँ गए उससे पहले, राइट? दैट द डे बिफोर, रिमेंबर द मून लैंडिंग?
वो तो अपने शो में भी वो जोक है ना कि दैट टेकिंग Mahuras before a rocket launch, and that is true. You keep hearing about those things, and the South Indians get away with it because they are also educated highly. But so you don't see the rituals and the casteism, but I'm sure it's there वहाँ पे भी.
And the thing is ki, so this is, sometimes I feel that like Prime Minister is so lucky, our Prime Minister Adarniya, because I feel that he found himself in this position at the best moment
In
where
history.
where we have enough level of consumerism, where I mean, think about like in the 1950s and 60s, one of the things that made us slightly lucky was that Gandhi was assassinated. So there was a period where Hindu nationalism was seen as a negative for at least 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And uske baad, for some period, what happened is ki our other identities, our caste identities, our regional linguistic identities prioritize हमने करी over some of the other identities. Now, post liberalization, because India had to be sold as one market, I think even before BJP started doing this whole patriotism, idea of patriotism is also a very consumer market driven idea. When you can, if I make all of India a kind of monolith, then I can create one kind of adverts and sell it across the country, right? Instead of like focusing on different market segments, which I'm sure they still do, but broadly, like, and then once that identity seeped in, uske baad, it's very easy for uh,
See,
like
in
a Hindu
hindsight, it
national idea.
looks like in hindsight, it looks like it was meant to be. But what you got to give it to them is there's a lot of effort that goes behind everything they do. Like they are doers. Like say what you want about them, they get their shit done.
Yeah,
So
tell me with this. Let's say you were the opposition. What, it's so much more difficult to भाई say people कि नहीं तेरे को उसको नफरत नहीं करने का है, तेरे को उसके साथ मिलके रहने का है. Like that's tougher, right? To say कि वो देख वो मुल्ला है और वो ऐसे वो गाय खाता है and hate him. Isn't that so? I think I mean, you're certainly not the first person who is saying this. I understand that, but also like we give a little more credit to them than they deserve simply because their job is easier. Their job is way easier. To convince people to hate is
the thing is that the organization, and the way it works, that you have to appreciate because they get shit done, down to the district level. ये advantage है कि even when they fuck up, you don't hear about it because the whole media is under their control. But the machinery, now if you see the opposition fighting for seats in news headlines, there's squabbles in BJP also, but that happens behind closed doors, and you never hear about it.
But that should be on media, no? Matlab, if it had been coming out as much as it should, then maybe
Media is a big game changer. But when you look at the opposition, it's like there is no intent.
It's the same BCCI analogy thing, right? Matlab, सारे resources.
But you can only
how easy is it? How good you are.
So you can only fight one story or ideology with another story or ideology. You can't do it with other means. So when you look at the opposition, there is no one coherent ideology emanating from any of them. Whereas with this party, at least is one story. It could be a good, bad, or
so this is the point. If you are a BJP voter, you know what you're voting for.
Yes.
You have it very clear why exactly are you going there.
Yeah.
And even if you're in on the fringes or whatever, like 2014 के पहले, like जो भी, you know what you.
And now they're delivering also. No? They're delivering. They gave you 370. They're giving you to the temple.
Exactly. But the thing is, so it's two things. One is there is no ideology on the other side. Like what is why do you vote for Trinamool Congress? What exactly? Like I'm just what does Trinamool Congress? So पहला तो वो. The second is, let's say there is an ideology. That ideology, selling that ideology is much tougher in a country like India, where people prioritize their religious identity across religions a lot. The third thing The problem with conservatism, I feel, is conservatism is standing here and looking back. It is never looking forward. So yes, it will give you 370. Yes, it will give you mandir, and it will probably also give you a uniform civil code. ठीक है? It will, because those problems are problems from, like, for them these problems existed in 1947 and even before maybe. ठीक है, बट द मोमेंट यू आस्क देम कि अच्छा अब ये इंडिया का जो मीडियन एज है वो 25 है और एक लाइक अपना अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट इज हैज बीन वन ऑफ द हाईएस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड, सो how would you engage when a lot of companies that are moving out of China, manufacturing companies, are going to Vietnam and Thailand and not coming to India? How do we do that? They will not have answer for that, because
answer
the
is
problem with conservatism is कि it has no
answer नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है, but it's just one answer.
उसमें भी क्या काट रहे हैं, देखा भी अयोध्या में जो बनाया हुआ उन लोग के रहने के लिए. Did you see the video clip? And I don't get it, why ANI shares something like this. ऐसा लग रहा है
ऐसा
basically tin shed बना दिया है, और with open commodes and all.
They have exactly, and they have projected it as कि कुछ बहुत अच्छा, like it is ready, ऐसा news था, right, कि Ayodhya is ready for the welcomes you to,
and it literally looks like the worst area of a slum. ठीक है,
see when you control
तो मुझे
media,
लगता है
you can get away with the fuck ups
कुछ किया, फिर भी तुमने इन्हीं को काट दिया.
वो कोई अगर if there's some murmurs and somebody criticizes, they just stop showing it and they will spin it some way. Now, even if something untoward happens around that date, they will use that also to their advantage. So they will say इसने किया, उसने किया, सोरोस ने किया. तो इनका like
और ऊपर से मैसेज आया है कि अपने भाई ने बोला है कि अपील की है कि मत आओ, राइट, लाइक और पूरी सब लोग आ जाएंगे तो वो, सो ही विल डू दैट आल्सो, बट अहमदाबाद हैज टू आल्सो डू द ओलंपिक्स के लिए भी वो करना है. व्हाट,
which is what I found very weird, that भाई बोल रहे मत आओ और न्यूज़ चैनल वाले रोज यही दिखा रहे हैं, तो जनता आएगी देख के.
एग्जैक्टली,
जनता और देखो जनता को रोका भी जाएगा, और मतलब क्योंकि भाई का मोमेंट है, भाई का मोमेंट भाई से छीनने नहीं दिया जाएगा.
हाँ, वो तो
ठीक है, तो वो जनता को रोक. यार क्या खतरनाक 1984 में जी रहे हैं अपन. तुम ये सोचो कि बंदा बीच में ऐसा करके फोटो खिंचाता है और ट्वीट करता है कि मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि देश के लिए कैसे काम किया जाए. भाई तू छुट्टी पे है, बोल तू छुट्टी लिया है, बोल तू आराम से बैठा है, क्यों? लाइक थिंक अबाउट, लाइक
मतलब एग्जैक्टली, या
like gaslighting.
नहीं, वो तो आपको पता है, that has been projected as a master stroke, no, against the Maldives. Did you follow that on Twitter?
हाँ, या
वो क्या है?
अरे इवन राहुल कंवल ने भी वो किया ना. सो बेसिकली व्हाट ही सेइंग कि सब कुछ बहुत अच्छा है, नेचर इज ग्रेट, लाइक नेचुरल ब्यूटी इज ग्रेट देयर. नाउ दैट पीएम इज गॉन, दिस इज राहुल कंवल सेइंग, now that PM is gone there, I hope it also means कि the actual tourism का जो infrastructure है वो भी वहाँ बढ़ जाएगा, so that people start going there instead of the Maldives.
जो भाई ने कहा, भाई ने सिर्फ कहा कि अच्छा है ये जगह पे, ठीक है, फोटो निकाला स्लो मोशन में, बट आई थिंक इट्स वेरी प्लान्ड एफर्ट, बिकॉज लास्ट 2 दिन से ट्विटर पे टॉप ट्रेंडिंग में चल रहा है कि fuck Maldives, come to our this thing. And if that was the intent, I think strategically it was a great move, because
नहीं,
you know what has happened.
I'm not होगा. पहली चीज तो Lakshadweep is perhaps one of the only other area outside of Jammu and Kashmir which is Muslim majority. ठीक है. Secondly, there are already Adani projects that are going to happen there, that has already been talked about. उसके बीच में अपना भाई जाता है, तो मतलब you know what it means. पर मैं सब भूल जाओ, ये सब मैं बोल ही नहीं रहा हूँ. मैं बोल रहा हूँ एक आदमी बीच में बैठा है, यहाँ से फोटो ले रहे हैं, ऐसे करके बैठा है वो, और कैप्शन है कि मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि देश के लिए काम कैसे किया जाए. मतलब you don't even want to show it कि भाई this.
There is literally like during, I think every president has a different वो. तो Obama years में it was actually called like the presidential summer vacation. For a week he used to come here. ये Massachusetts में ही एक Nantucket करके एक island है वहाँ, मतलब it's like an island, so
Camp David तो वहाँ पे क्या?
Nantucket.
अच्छा.
मतलब Nantucket is the name of the island, but it was like कि हाँ भाई छुट्टी ले रहा हूँ मैं, और I am going to relax and get rejuvenated. But ऐसे करके कभी फोटो नहीं आती थी ओबामा की,
क्योंकि वो सोसाइटी है ना. अभी हम पूरा तरीके से लाइक स्टॉप लुकिंग एट इंडिया एज like a democracy of any kind. Think of India as a very weird autocracy.
Yeah.
जहाँ मतलब वो ये सोचने वाली बात है ना यार कि आधे एमपी सस्पेंडेड हैं, पार्लियामेंट में ऐसा बिल्स इस तरीके से पास हो रहे हैं जो बेसिकली लाइक विल मेक इवन पुटिंग आउट अ ट्वीट could
I'm sure
potentially
you
be a
can
crime.
prove it to be illegal, right? If you take it to court, the bills.
Has this court ever given any decision that is against the ruling regime? Like कौन सा स्ट्रक्चर है डेमोक्रेसी का जो खड़ा है किसी के भी साथ या खड़ा हो पा
डिसीजन
रहा है?
हमेशा प्रो डिसीजन प्रो आते हैं, बस वो एक बीच बीच में वो लतीफे छोड़ देते हैं,
डिसेंट जैसे कमेंट आ जाता है.
I think except Rahul Gandhi being reinstated, no major decision, at least in the public eye. Once Cyrus put it so simply and it was so clear that he said, imagine G20 is happening in America and the delegates land in Washington and they're on their way to the hotel and they see pictures of Joe Biden at every other lamppost. Would it not be creepy?
It's so forget
it was not just the photos, it was also comparing those leaders with our leader and saying कि ये ज्यादा पॉपुलर है और तुम्हारा वाला कम पॉपुलर है. वो पोस्टर
In G20 also.
वो तो
Yes.
निशांत तू यूएस में 13 साल से रह रहा है, आज तक तूने कहीं भी किसी पॉलिटिशियन का प्लैकार्ड देखा है?
No, and I have seen, the only place I have seen is when
लोग अपने यार्ड साइन डालते हैं.
No, यार्ड साइन तो ठीक है, मैंने यहाँ पेट्रोल पंप पे देखा है and which was happening in like as a mockery of Biden कि जब prices बढ़ गए थे तो people had put stickers on the petrol pump कि ये price के वहाँ पे ऐसे arrow लगा के Biden ऐसे arrow लगा, this is my fault ऐसे. तो
अगर ना
बट वहाँ पे तो मोदी जी मतलब ऐसे पूरे मतलब इवन इन माय होम टाउन जबलपुर में भी वो हर पेट्रोल पंप पे भाई की फोटो है.
मैं इंडिया
लोग दिए जा रहे हैं 120 रुपए लीटर, 130 रुपए लीटर.
अर्ली 22 में जब मैं इंडिया लैंड हुआ था तो मुंबई में इमिग्रेशन क्लियर करके उस तरफ गया, वहां पे मोदी जी का फोटो. द फर्स्ट थिंग आई सॉ इन इंडिया
नागपुर, the airport is named after Dr. Ambedkar, but the first thing you see is Modi's photo, and then after you go somewhere like there is.
In fact, अगर यूएस में ये हो जाए ना, और बाइडन नहीं, बाइडन ट्रम्प कोई भी, that person will lose the election guaranteed because people will be so creeped out. That person will like there's very इनके एंटीना खड़े हो जाएंगे.
And then yet the corruption in the US at the highest level, and yet the two-party system.
I was saying that, despite all the freedom of speech and, like you said, the political discourse and people's understanding being far greater than what it is in India, still the corruption is what it is in the US, and it's the highest levels of corruption in across industries. And the two-party system fucks. It sucks, of course, because there are only two options.
यहाँ पे the only difference is the corruption. You won't see corruption in your day-to-day life. At least
the corruption is at the
यहाँ पे जो corruption होता है तो फिर वो दूसरी countries की government topple हो जाती है, मतलब उस type का corruption होता है. और bombing हो गई कहीं. I mean, it's actually
NRA lobby करता है और NRA मतलब gun control नहीं होता है. उस तरीके का corruption, like day-to-day life.
We are also heading there, no? I mean, the electoral bond system is essentially the centralization of the corruption. So उसने
but here at least but here you know who has lobbied for whom, like that is in public domain. But with electoral bonds you don't know. Like here you know कि कौन सा lobbyist
मैं एक चीज बोल दूं कि people are not smart. बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. ऐसा नहीं है कि people are smarter. The only thing is that the basic, जैसे हमने बोला कि insecurity जो हम बात करें यहाँ पे, the basic essence of an individual is to go against the authority. ठीक है. So everybody looks at the government as something to hold, to ask questions to. To be suspicious of the government. And in fact, I saw this even even in like colleges and all, right? There's no overt respect to anybody. Nobody is given any respect at all.
And also the point is the practicality of the matter is कि given the reality of the world कि America is the most powerful country, people can afford to be stupid. Like मतलब it won't hurt
But
them as much as it
don't
does.
you guys remember that pre 2014, this general sort of suspicion of politicians was also there in India also. These
Yeah.
people have changed it again. Like, no, they've taken us further back in time. No, and
Actually,
now,
yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
but the difference was that even when the UPA government was there, na, at your local level,
Hmm.
you still had to do Ji Huzuri of your government. And even if you did not like the person, even if you did not like your member of
Hmm.
parliament or the local minister or something, you would still treat them with reverence. यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं, यहाँ पे बाइडेन के सामने थूक के चला जाएगा आदमी.
Yeah.
And that has like people have literally like shouted fuck you to Trump when
There's a
Yeah.
there's a famous photo where like
Mm.
Trump's motorcade is going and there's a
Mm.
woman who's bicycling and she has a middle finger up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the difference. Like that, like fake reverence बहुत है यहाँ पे. और ये not just politicians छोड़ दो, family members,
Hmm.
तुम्हारा फूफा ताऊ जितना भी बड़ा वाला हो, you have
Hmm.
to treat them, otherwise वो नाराज हो
Hmm.
जाएंगे. And then
Yeah.
Even when there are known sexual offenders within the
yeah.
family, and they still get away with it.
Then at offices and workplaces, maybe private में थोड़ा कम, but think about the government office, like the level of जी हुजूरी that you have to do. मतलब उससे एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट है कि अभी इंडिया में पिछले 2 महीने में 3 महीने में द बेस्ट क्रिटिक्स चॉइस फिल्म इज 12th फेल. आई डोंट नो कि तुम दोनों ने देखी है
Yeah.
कि नहीं 12th फेल,
I
I
बट
haven't.
heard about it.
द
It
Yeah.
होल
seemed too
थिंग इज
moppy to look up.
the whole thing is our greatest underdog story is about a guy who wants to be part of the system, who wants to fight,
Yeah.
do everything to become part of the system. Like literally उसमें एक scene है when he calls up his
Yeah.
father and tells कि मेरा हो गया. His father hangs up the phone और उसका ऐसा पिछले दिखा है, उसको एक लोकल मिनिस्टर बहुत परेशान करता था, तो बोलता है, वो चौहान था मिनिस्टर का नाम, बोलता है, मैं जा रहा हूँ चौहान को बोलने कि उसने एक आईएएस के बाप को परेशान किया है. Like this is what you want to do with your power. And we are like, and you
But
feel
are the
emotionally,
performances this strong कि मतलब इन सब
Vikrant
के
Messi is
बावजूद
good.
भी इतनी
Vikrant Messi is
Yeah.
good,
हाँ he's good but
and
yeah
then there are a few other actors जिनका नाम like they are good. See,
They must
they
be good because
and
I understand the aspirational value of IAS, and that's how they get the numbers. The same
Mhm.
with the comics get the numbers by talking about engineering and all of that. Is that? But then
yeah
I'm sure on top of it, even the film is made well because I heard people who are not in that milieu and are more urban and they're settled in life, even they liked it. Must be it's like how Uri was a propaganda film, but it was well produced.
yeah, and if you're invested, even mildly invested in this idea, right? क्योंकि ये सोचना कि like when I still like think about like कि क्या इंडिया में रह के यूपीएससी दे के कुछ करना चाहिए था. Like people think about it. People like there is this whole like this is an aspirational thing, and so if you're invested, you don't see it that way. But like if you think like एक step दूर जाके सोचो तो लगेगा कि भाई the whole movie is about someone wanting to be like the underdog stories are where someone goes against the establishment and gets something done or something like
No, no.
यहाँ पे ये है कि अब मैं कलेक्टर लाइक वो क्या होता है, उसके एक दोस्त विक्रांत मैसी के एक दोस्त को पुलिस पकड़ लेती है, ठीक है. ये
Sure.
जाता है थाने, दिस इज बिफोर ही बिकम दिस, हाँ रिजल्ट
Yeah.
आने वाला है कल, या
Yeah.
रिजल्ट आने वाला है कल या जो भी. एंड वो पुलिस वाले को क्या बोलते हैं, तुम रिश्वत मांग रहे हो मुझसे, तुम जानते हो कौन हो, जब मैं आईएएस बनूंगा सबसे पहले तुम्हारा ट्रांसफर कराऊंगा. आई एम लाइक व्हाट द फक मैन.
Wow.
ये सीन है मूवी में. तो
Wow. Well, the reality is that you go into any collector's office, there will be a plaque behind which will tell you the tenure of all the people who came before him. And the tenure is never over 2 years. It is most often within a year. That's how much they get transferred. And they get transferred by whom? The politicians.
yeah
So, and half the time goes in playing host to the fucking politician who's coming in. उसका गेस्ट हाउस के लिए साफ कराओ, उसका कोई भांजा आ रहा है, ये आ रहा है, वो. I'm sure they do a lot of work. Obviously, they are the ones who run the administration, for better or for worse. But if you are a person with this mindset going in, you will be so disillusioned and disappointed because you are just serving the netas there and
there's
cleaning up the
yeah.
mess at the bottom level.
finish your
There's
thought
a
first bata do, yeah.
there's this book about corruption which came out recently. I think Bram Green is the author. It's is the book is on corruption and where it comes from. Okay, and it has
I'll
an
look it up.
example of I'll tell you the exact name. So it talks about systems. So it says people will always be corrupt, but the systems need to do better. If you can build better systems, there is no guarantee that you will get great leaders and a just system. But a better system doesn't allow people to take advantage of it. So the example he gives is that in Netherlands, the kind of people who go in for civil service are the people who score high on empathy, who want to actually serve people. And in India, the kind of people who appear for the administrative exams, they are the ones who are more prone to corruption.
So मैं वही
Because
बोल रहा
they're
था
doing
कि
it for the power, they're doing it for the money on the
exactly,
side. It's
exactly,
the wrong
because
kind of people who are even giving it. Like, forget clearing it.
yeah. So the example that I was about to give was कि ये जो movie में जो character है, that is a very, it is a fictional character because most of the people that I know,
No, it is a real
not
character apparently. It is made
हाँ ठीक
from.
yeah, okay, so it's very rare then
Uh,
because
uh,
most of the people who I know, I don't know I don't know someone
mm,
who did IAS, but I know
mm,
people who absolutely strive कि PSU में job चाहिए या
mm.
government job
Yeah.
चाहिए.
Yeah.
If you ask them कि क्यों चाहिए, they will never say कि काम अच्छा है या ये सीखने कुछ. The
Yeah.
whole thing is it's a permanent job. I can take any number of vacations. I will make money on the side.
It's
And
all
this
the
is
wrong
like, yeah,
reasons. All
all
the
the
wrong
wrong reasons.
reason. दहेज मिलेगा, पेंशन मिलेगा,
Exactly, exactly.
घर मिलेगा.
अच्छा,
And they're very
by the
open
way,
about it. It's like it's not even a secret. Like it's like कि हाँ यही है मेरा intention. काम आ
The
गया
the
भाड़ में.
book is called The Corruptible, if anybody wants to note, and it's
The
Brian
corruptible. Okay.
Klaas. Yeah, Brian Klaas, Klaas. That's the author. Not a very long book. It studies dictatorships also, examples from history and from current times. And basically, the question at heart is that are people inherently evil or the system makes them? And it's a very big question to tackle, but he's done it
do
nicely
do we
with
need do we need UPSC and bureaucracy? Like US में तो ये hiring directly university, so there is no exam. And there is no collective basically, but like even like the people who work with the ministries and secretariats, right, they're all hired directly from universities like a normal corporate job. Why? Maybe again, India is a massive population, and if we don't do that,
it's
I
just
don't know.
yeah, it's just the nature of the country. And I've seen firsthand people operating in remote areas like say Spiti Valley or
Mm.
something. And there are so many small things which these people take care of that you can't even imagine. It
The
could be
problem
something
is
as
now that I have felt is that very little power completely makes even very little power completely makes people एकदम बहुत ज्यादा आ जाता sense of this. Like I have
yep,
seen like uh, and especially in India, I feel where the sir culture is very much active.
yeah,
You feel
entitled.
very like
Yeah,
I've seen not even I'm not talking about IAS officers. I'm talking about like government. Like my dad retired as an engineer from the water supply department. Even at that level, the kind of
yeah.
sense of power you feel,
The
it goes to your
peons
head.
who are the gatekeepers in all the Delhi offices of the government, they are getting little bit of money on the side to push your file ahead, to get your meeting done on time. वो लोग भी अपने टशन में रहते हैं. And the amount of money in Delhi that has accrued over the decades, from all this fucking blood money, you can see it. Like when you can see the random businesses happening, their wives doing some shitty business on the side, and you can see it is blood money. It has come from all these ministries over the years, and I think one of the reasons why the current establishment acts so paranoid is because they are paranoid, given the internet and what it is right now. They have all the media under them, but no, one party worker or one minister doing something stupid can go viral immediately.
Yeah.
So Congress must have gotten away with much worse in all this decade leading up to where we are right now, and you didn't hear a peep about it anywhere.
But the good thing now with them is BJ like फर्क नहीं पड़ता ना. Like literally there are 3 members of BJP IT cell accused of rape
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
apparently the case was registered 4 months ago, and
yeah.
they are being shielded for the last four
Shielded.
months.
Yeah.
So then फिर क्या है? फिर क्या बचता है? And it's not like anyone will talk
I'm saying
about
at
it.
least that case came out. In earlier years, you wouldn't even have heard this much. But the
That is
country
true.
has seen a famine after independence. No?
Mhm.
We've seen multiple wars after independence. We saw riots in Delhi, like a genocide in Delhi in 84. Right? You saw the entire opposition being in jail at the same time. So, lot worse is when they say last 70 years, they keep harping back. There is truth in it. No?
No, of course,
There are,
but
and there are
also
people who have lived through it. But
there are.
now it has become like no a new abuser is telling you that how come you didn't fight earlier, so now why are you resisting now? Now that
But
I'm
people,
abusing
No,
you.
but
do you
then
think?
people
अच्छा
are
मुझे
not resisting, right?
मैं एक
मतलब
सिनेरियो दे रहा
वो
हूँ,
जो
सुनो
स्टोरी
सुनो.
दे रहे हैं वो
हाँ.
रेजिस्ट किए होंगे ना उस टाइम, बट अभी दे आर जस्ट कंप्लायंट कि अभी हमारा बंदा कर
Yeah,
रहा है तो चलेगा.
क्योंकि क्योंकि
yeah.
there are also stories about Ramnath Goenka, like not, like
Yeah.
his. Anyway, मैं एक सिनेरियो दे रहा हूँ, मेरा सिनेरियो सुनो. हाँ,
हाँ. Hmm,
कि इलेक्शन होता है
hmm,
and BJP is less than 240
hmm.
and they have to look for alliances
Uh,
to form the government,
yeah.
and the opposition somehow manages to accrue enough numbers to cross 272. So
Hmm,
now they go to the president for कि हम government form करेंगे.
yeah.
At that point,
पहले तो प्रेसिडेंट बोले देगा ही नहीं कि तुम.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, रुक जाओ ना. At
Okay.
that point, because this party, like this person is still the leader and everything, the media suddenly starts, putting out news about corruption and the affinity to China and Pakistan and whatever of these
Yeah,
leaders,
yeah.
and urges people to, you know, people who are vocal and out to talk about it. And suddenly, and at that stage, the prime minister goes, imposes an emergency, puts 10, 20 big names behind
Hmm,
bars,
hmm,
asks for a brief period for the army to set him for step up for the security of our country, and pushes calls the election results as like jo bhi,
yeah,
not like fudged,
yeah.
and calls for a fresh election. Now all this seems very out of, like, but
Hmm.
like how will the average uncle in a resident welfare association react?
इनसे करना ही नहीं
सही
चाहिए था
किए.
इलेक्शन. मैंने
Yeah.
आपको पहले कहा था. मैंने आपको पहले कहा था.
तो मुझे
the
नहीं लगता कि
the
कोई खड़ा होकर कुछ करने वाला है, राइट? कोई
See, there is if you dig little deeper in the
हम्म,
numbers, no, there is hope in the voting percentages. So still, the percentage separating BJP and Congress is not very large, and they know it. No, it's like even in the US, all the
हम्म,
concentration in the election is on the swing voters. No,
हाँ 2%.
बाकी लोग हाँ बाकी
हम्म,
दोनों side पे people will
हम्म,
accept regardless of what their party does. So similarly, either be there must be some swing vote that they're going after. It's probably the OBC vote from my understanding, a little percentage here or there. So if you look at the percentages, even in the last assembly where the Congress lost, they were behind not, but in fact they had higher vote share if you combine all the states together. But I think what happens is because the upper caste is the actual vote bank in the country, all the halla you hear no outside the IT cell, the informal IT cell, which is the secretary uncles of the building, they all upper caste uncles, and
हम्म.
that's why you hear
Yeah.
so much.
But all
But
the
if you see
police,
now,
DSPs, SPs are also upper caste uncles. All the judicial,
yeah,
like
the
not
position is also
just
power we have.
सब
Okay,
upper caste.
plus it's
तो
not
अगर
it's
हल्ला
just the
होएगा.
numbers. It's
हम्म,
also power that they have. But if you see purely numbers, no, there is hope in it, and that's why
तो
they're pushing for 400 seats this time. No, because they know that they are far from complete consolidation.
there are 191 seats in India, Lok Sabha seats, where Congress directly competes with BJP or BJP directly competes
Hmm,
with Congress, however you want to
hmm,
define
hmm.
it. And the hit rate of BJP in those seats is 85%. So 85% of those seats BJP takes, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And outside of it, the hit rate of BJP is 34%. So wherever BJP's opposition is not Congress, they only win
yeah,
34% of the seats.
yeah,
So they take so much from their bucket where they directly, compete
yeah,
against Congress.
yeah.
If Congress even breaks through and
Splits
wins
out.
15% more,
Ah, Yeah.
BJP will not make 272, but
Yeah.
that is also cow belt ना, that is also like
Yeah.
Yeah.
वहां पे
Yeah.
हो रहा है ना, तो वहां पे
And
I don't know कि
and
कैसा हो.
after they open up the delimitation exercise, the next election, if at all it happens, फिर तो खत्म है, because now UP has significantly more seats, Bihar has significantly more seats,
मुझे
probably
डर
MP
पता है क्या
also.
है, हाँ, मुझे डर इस चीज पर है कि if BJP does not come back to power this cycle, by some, the toxicity in the
Miracle ही होगा.
overall society, our like our circles, especially the urban circles, is so much that I don't know how they will react. They will like, तुम समझ रहे हो ना, like I remember when Bengal में BJP lost, and then in Bihar में BJP lost. बिहार पहले, बंगाल बाद में. And the kind of language used for the average Bihari and Bengali, हाँ तुम लोग रिक्शा ही चलाओ
Yeah.
तुम, like
Yeah.
that toxicity will perhaps
ये तो
even
न्यूज
be even
एंकर
more
कर रहे थे
damaging.
भाई. सुधीर चौधरी said
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And the
Even
thing
about
is,
Delhi, right, when AAP won
Yeah,
also.
he also said it about Delhi. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I feel कि if BJP does not win, there will be more riots, because that's how they then consolidate ना. वो तो एक और
Yeah.
दूसरा डर है मेरे दिमाग में.
Yeah, yeah. I often think about that myself, that more
Hmm.
than them losing, it is what the kill switch is. No, because
Yeah.
they have a kill switch, they have a plan B and C. No? In case of emergency, what will they pull on you? You don't know. That will be even worse. And the other parties are either not savvy, or they simply don't have the resources only to think that far ahead.
तो कैसे करोगे वो?
I don't see any plan. I don't see any organization happening in the opposition. And the thing is, see, most of them are regional parties. So more than Lok Sabha, they will all talk big, but they just want to protect their own turf, which you can see clearly. So they will keep firing salvos at each other also, because no, in the end, उनको पता है अपना playground इतना ही, इसके आगे जाने का नहीं है. So I don't see where any change is gonna come
Do you
from.
guys think the opposition alliance announcing a name as a PM candidate would help? वो बहुत अलग है कि I mean assuming that they go through the infighting and decide on someone.
I don't think so, because then what happens is, this is what they want. They want one person to come against Modi, because versus Modi nobody can
हाँ
win.
exactly, yeah. Then they will just be like, मतलब जैसे राहुल गांधी के साथ पप्पू हो गया वैसे ही they will do something.
Yeah, either the other guy will get drowned out in the noise that this guy has for himself, or is
Yeah.
how difficult it is to just paint one guy as corrupt, blah blah blah. हो जाएगा, they'll create something.
Yeah.
उसके गाड़ में Pegasus डाल देंगे वो लोग direct.
Exactly. I mean, इतना बड़ा, like imagine this, right? The whole Pegasus affair was not like a minor thing.
तो
So
privacy
many
नहीं ना.
opposite.
मेरा स्कूल का दोस्त लोग बोल रहा है कि तेरे को क्यों चाहिए privacy? What do you have to hide? So exactly what the government is saying, they are saying it like
Yeah.
like a Pied Piper. So वो सब है ही नहीं, like right to life, right to freedom of expression, no, nothing, zero. It's only worship, and this kind of adherence you only get because you are religiously aligned. No, that's why all the kings throughout history have wanted religion on their side, because some of that blasphemy lost touch of, oh no, this they rub off on you also, which is exactly what is happening. No, and by further extension, it is rubbing off on their local leaders also. Even they are getting away with shit just by wearing a particular color. यानी कितना चूतिया कटा पब्लिक का. Wrestling Federation
पर पब्लिक
is
खुश है ना.
dissolved. Public पता नहीं. I mean, इसको खुशी बोल सकते हैं कि क्या.
मतलब गुस्सा भी है, ये बात तो है कि भाई इतने खुश हैं, इतना अच्छा सब कुछ चल रहा है, तो इतना गुस्सा क्यों? लाइक क्रिकेट वी वर टॉकिंग इनिशियली, राइट?
Yeah,
देयर इज सो
yeah,
मच एंगर इन पीपल. देयर इज
yeah.
लाइक, ऐसा लगता है कि सब बस गुस्सा भर के बैठे. तो मुझे लगता है कि like, are you confusing your anger with happiness or something? Like, because I have never felt that people have been so angry, or maybe it's the social media, I don't know.
It is social, I think social media, yes, but it's also just the general state of affairs with the unemployment and the inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now, but they are being constantly given enemies to vent at.
See,
Constant.
just simple example, what happened during that first lockdown when that thali wala task was given. वो एंगर ही तो निकल रहा है ना, जो सड़क पे खड़े होके एक कोई इंसान है वो अपने सर पे बजा रहा है, एक कोई है वो लेडी जो पागल ही हो गई थी, मतलब
Yeah.
would a normal person do that if you're not angry? मतलब कुछ तो वेंट
And,
आउट हो रहा है वहां पे, मतलब आई
and the
फील.
clear candidate to went out on is the people in power, but that is not happening
या
simply because the
या दैट इज
propaganda
या
is so huge. I think we are not still fully grasping how massive the propaganda is. This is the biggest propaganda machinery in the history of the world, by far. If you
या
just see, I mean, इसका भी लिम्का रिकॉर्ड लेना तो ले लो, because because
या
we see news and all of this, but WhatsApp is so much bigger than that. So much bigger. I was in Kolkata during the Bengal elections, and the kind of WhatsApp forwards they were getting was कि they are showing that the top two Gujjubais, no, they are shown as Ram and Lakshman, ये लोग अवतार है विष्णु का, and not even in like no as a
वो वीडियो नहीं देखा क्या? मोदी जी
हाँ वो भी
अवतार है, तो फिर योगी
या
जी क्या है? वो भी अवतार है.
या तो ये लेवल का, and when they do it, it is not blasphemy, it is not hurting anybody's religious sentiments, but when you do
या
it is.
तू ये
I
बता,
think
तू जाके अपने कॉलोनी में अंकल को बता कि अंकल ऐसा संस्कृत में कमेंट्री हो रहा है, लोग धोती में, वाह यार इंडिया कितना आगे आ गया है, ऐसा होगा फिर. दिस इज आवर आइडिया ऑफ लाइक ग्रोथ, दिस इज प्रोग्रेसिव
यार, I mean,
पॉलिटिक्स.
this is like if this was happening in this any other country, like this would be made fun of. Matlab, like if something like this happens in the US, like all late night shows will be making fun of this for at least a week.
you know,
And this
you
is a
hear the
flex in
other news
India.
also. You hear the other news of all the rapes and the mob lynching and just the Dalits being beaten up and all of that. And we feel कि we are apathetic, which is also true. And गुस्सा कहाँ जा रहा है? I think all of it is true. It's just the propaganda which is holding them up. If the propaganda falls apart, the machinery stops working for a month. No, you will start seeing differences. I think it's almost like mind control. They have it on people. They're like in this force field, of this constant noise. Because I hear it in my own house. No, living room में यही चल रहा है 24 घंटा news का. So it is almost like some subliminal mind control. The future is already here. It's just not as sleek as the science fiction books told you it will be. But if you see the people, you're already in the matrix. No, it's just that it is not as sleek as the movies showed you. So another thing which has really been very apparent after someone pointed it out was that कि जितना आपका मोबाइल का एडिक्शन इंडिया में उतना वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में नहीं है. Although I'm sure people are, and you talk about people having the addiction and all of that is true, but यहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा है because the moment the screen is clocked and you look up, there is nothing there that is of value. All of it is oppressive. The structures you're in, you have no space, the air stinks, and there is no activity outdoors. So imagine what a great escape this is for the poor people, especially. I see the watchmen in all the buildings. When I travel by train, everybody, the laborers who come into the compartment, as soon as they get a comfortable place, immediately it is on, because this is such an instant escape from their immediate reality. और कोई आपका बाहर का वोकेशनल एक्टिविटी है ही नहीं apart from your work. No, there are no parks, there is no sports, really speaking, there is no social gatherings of note, right? There is no extracurricular activity, there is no art that you practice, there are no events that you go to, you don't go to museums. तो यही बचा है. और फिर जब इस पे I shudder to even peek inside what they're watching. It usually it is some political shit, or it is some item number, or it is Bhageshwar Dham Baba talking something. So can you imagine the amount of toxicity that is being fed into people? You can't even quantify it, if there's some way of quantifying it.
And that is why it is,
This
that is why it scares me more कि अगर कल को बीच भी हार गया तो all this will be like अभी ये रुका हुआ है, क्योंकि अभी तो ऐसा है ना कि राम राज्य है इंडिया में, रावण राज्य आएगा तो क्या करोगे, मतलब you know what I mean. तो
what is the plan B? You don't know. And the thing is, they have people on the ground, no? In every pin code, they have people. There are people जो लोग चंदा मांग के गए हैं मंदिर के लिए, and you don't even know where the money is going or who they were, and they literally almost they force people to pay.
And भगवान के नाम पे like
ये चंदा
आराम से
मांगने से
काट
मेरे
लिया.
को ये चंदा मांगने वाली बात एकदम, बिकॉज आई हैव पीपल इन माय एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली हु हैव पुट स्टिकर्स ऑन देयर कार कि इस कार का यूज हुआ है चंदा मांगने
यार
के लिए.
हर
इट्स एम्बैरेसिंग मैन, इट्स रियली एम्बैरेसिंग. लाइक वो खुद मतलब आई कांट बिलीव कि मैं ऐसे लोगों को चाचा बोलता हूँ. एक्चुअली घर जाके मंदिर के लिए चंदा मांगे, मतलब
again the dichotomy, where at one point they will say कि ये तो उनका ट्रस्ट है, वही सब कर रहा है, ये सरकार का नहीं है, बस सरकार आके इनॉग्रेशन कर रही है, वही बंदा बैठेगा, तो ये सब चलता है।
इतना मैंने ये देखा दिल्ली में कि
डिसोनेंस है ही नहीं
रैंडम आदमी
कॉग्निटिवली।
आपके दरवाजे पे आके बोल रहा है कि हम लोग डोनेशन ले रहे हैं कश्मीरी पंडितों के पुनरावास के लिए, तुम कैसे करोगे, तुम क्या करने वाले हो? लेकिन अब वो पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है किसी को पता नहीं, पर आदमी ऐसा, आज हालत ये है कि आदमी कश्मीरी पंडित सुन के 51 रुपए दे देता है, तो राम सुन के तो पता नहीं क्या ही कर रहा होगा।
या
ऑन दैट हैप्पी नोट लेट्स पॉज।
बहुत ही हैप्पी एपिसोड हो गया
ऑन
आज।
दैट हैप्पी नोट लेट्स पॉज।
ऑलराइट, थैंक यू
बाय,
पुनीत,
गुड नाइट,
बाय।
चलिए, मुझे आप सभी से बात करके बहुत अच्छा लगा। मेरा ये चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें और मेरे हर अपडेट आपको मिले, इसके लिए बेल आइकन जरूर दबाइएगा। आप सभी को मेरी ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं।
Long years ago, we made a trip with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge.
8 नवंबर 2016 की रात्रि को 12 बजे से
चीफ मिनिस्टर के लिए मेरा एक ही संदेश है कि वो राज धर्म का पालन करें।
हार्डवेयर वालों की सोच क्या होती है, हार्ड वर्क वालों की सोच क्या होती है। अरे ये ना पंजाब की खुशबू।